some physical as well. And TNC are not going to be able to buy a pipe and consider themselves effectively invincible in these.
No, definitely. I really like either an Invoker here or one of those other heroes that just gives you the ability to either A, go and lock down an area, secure themselves Rosh team fight, objective taking potential. It could be like as weird of a pick as a DP, but I don't know if it's really a hero anymore.
Yeah, DP is not great against Sven either, I would say. Decent laner, and someone who can do okay against Tinker. I wouldn't say amazing. Generally, where you'll have a lot of kill potentials if someone comes into the lane, you combine the sucky with the slow or stun, but they don't really have that hero, to be honest. So Mirana is the choice. This is the better synergy with Shadow Demon, for sure, and it's more Magic Burst. Is going to have to. Fort Duo is very passive. Tidehunter's ult is more of a reactive ability, not something that you can just lob out a Ravage just to find a solo kill. Sure, in the laning stage or early game maybe, but later on I'll have to be patient with that. So it is potentially the spend a ton of Magic Burst against that Warcry.
You know, I do like the pick. I think that again the issue that I'm going to have is how they deal with getting Roshan. If they don't have that and they're not able to, you know, secure that at various points, it could be a little bit rough. But by and large, I do like the draft, and it feels like they just want to fight him. They're daring him to come at him, and you know, you get that Aghanim's up on Mirana, it's going to be a problem. Not to mention that you do have the natural synergy with D. We've talked about it a bunch already, but natural order, this basically just increases the nuke damage of Cuckoo tremendously. And sometimes we've even seen ETs go back for Veils to amp it up that much further. I think that could be a great item this game.
It is a 5-hero smoke rotation. TNC gonna get underway now as they move through the Radiant jungle. Some real kill potential here. Disruption is basically an instant arrow and into a kill, barring some bad miscommunication. But RRQ will back away. They dodge that bullet, at least for the time being. We'll retreat back to the safety of their high ground.
I'm curious what their stance is right now on the way that the qualifiers are going. Obviously, they're 0-4, so if there's any at all hope that they want to win, you know, they have to take this game. But I can't imagine what it's like to sort of be that 0-4 position. Just, you know, a team that's been constantly there, just right on the outside edges of making it to events. Got to be a ton of pressure on these players.
Yeah, or maybe they're just good and they have low expectations. You know, I guess that's the other possibility.
It's the same coin probably as losing it. It's tough. I remember when I was, you know, playing in younger league sports stuff that I heard so many times, good idea, Gabe. That was a really good idea right there. The, you know, ball movement, and it's like, oh no.
But, or you know what the worst one is the most improved player award.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, good job. You're not as shit as you used to be. Always want that MVP, you know, most valuable, not most. I got most improved player one year. I was actually like above average at soccer camp, you know.
Yeah.
But I was definitely not the best player. Even at the time, I realized that he and MIP are not the same.
As long as everybody doesn't get MIP, then you got something special there. That's when it really is.
Well,
bad.
not everyone can be the most improved. Like,
no, definitely.
If you're from 1K to 4K, that's more improvement than from 4 to 5 in theory, right?
No, definitely. Sam H taking a bit of a beating up here, and might be in a little bit of trouble. They have another Burrow Strike, but don't want to try and dive on their tower. This is a lane that actually kind of sucks. I like what RRQ did with their laning setup. Just going to try and bully out that Sand King and go aggro down bottom. Well, spawn to the aggro down bottom.
They will try, at least. This is RRQ. Hang back in the tri lane. So it is a duel on tri for now with Teehee rotating, and that is not great for Luna. Like I said, this isn't the most synergistic lane. Sven Ogre, 2 melee bruisers, fatal bonds. There's not a whole lot of AoE damage to like fully take advantage of it, but it's still Luna's be weak as a hero. So if Shadow Demon never gets out of position, they could be in trouble. And he actually skilled poison, so they could potentially try to make a move as soon as they hit 2 in the tri lane.
You know, another little dynamic up here is we do see the Burrow Strike over onto Sam H, and I don't think that anybody dies here. Yeah, they should
Uh-oh, it's a man fight. They have another burrow available, but here comes the other Titan. He will have to get away.
Decision to back out of that was a little bit dangerous, but escape. But the thing I was going to mention is that the supports for TNC, it's recently been T moving over to the support role. He's playing the ET this time. He previously played mid, and I think that in these aggressive lane situations, that basic understanding of creep pulls, of the constant did it a million times, look like they've decided to back out as taking control of this camp. RRQ is going to be able to consistently deny out that experience.
A laser love tap onto Cuckoo, but as you would expect, Tinker had a good time in the 1v1. Very difficult to outlast to the Tinker, the laser. But that said, Mirana's still holding her own. She's got ways to farm through magic damage, Starfall, so not over, and even the arrow, so not overly reliant on right-click last hits. So yeah, mid lane, a slight win for Tinker. Bottom lane going quite well for Sven. And the Sand King getting his levels and farms. I think RQ very happy overall at the laning stage. You compare that to TNC, the big thing that they're lacking is what do they do with this Luna? She works to the top, off jungle goes Sam H, but this means they will fall behind in terms of the levels and overall team experience. So RQ are winning the lanes for now.
Yeah, and it's looking a little bit chaotic again between these supports. Cass moves in, tries to get the disruption onto the Tinker in the mid lane as Teehee is set up as well, and needs to really coordinate super well together, and they just back up and walk away until they don't find that. Now you have the Ogre into the mid lane who could try and help out a little bit against the Mirana. They're not really finding a ton with these support rotations, and that was always going to be a bit of an issue. I'm incredibly happy if I'm RRQ right now, and the biggest thing about this, it's been time spent to get what he needs. They can pull this creep camp through, and after it, just maybe even think about trying to pressure the tower. I don't know. It's looking really good for them.
Yeah, it gives time to Sven. It even gives time to the Tinker as, oh, well, I jinxed him. The Jinx is pretty strong, and it is strong enough. Cast jams it in for blood. Really, TNC really did need. The lanes were being kind of lost passively, I would say, because of the experience factor, even though they're CSing similarly well, a bit worse, but not too far behind. That does equalize things quite a bit. It keeps it about an even game as opposed to like a nearly 1,000 gold lead to start it off.
It helps out a lot. It doesn't completely change the status quo. Sam H is going to get pushed back again here, and you take a look at the levels. I'm curious how it's going to go, because Sand King almost being level 6. I don't think he's going to be able to build into an incredibly quick rank, but if he gets it in a decent time, there's going to be a good window there where maybe he can finish it before Tiger has enough for his mechanism, and they can start fighting around that.
Sam H still lurking on that bottom lane, but you can already see the beefy Ogre clubbing T. Get that. And he will, at least now. Oh, but the rotation does come up top. Disruption. Whole lot of follow-up. That's already a level 5 Sand King. Difficult to deal with. Who will just calmly leap away, so a lot of music lanes here. Teams bouncing around, but finding the kills after that initial first blood.
Yeah, it's been very quiet, and I still do think that, after TNC getting that kill, it helps them out a lot. Is again, bullying the Luna up here needs to be a little bit careful, but the Swan charges as well as the Tango, so he's going to passively regen up to this. They cancel the Stomp. I think he should be able to get out of that, and maybe even can. He needs to back out. All right, that's fine.
They did force him to take a point in Sandstorm, which is a small victory for TNC, but same time, that also may force the supports to buy detection, which is a slight win for RRQ. So nothing really lost there. They are slowing down the Sand King now. They're getting their farm on Luna. And of course, Tidehunter still doing pretty well. They're level 6 and CSing decently. So all in all, the game is stabilized. I'd call it a very even game for now. And I think the real question is going to be who makes the most effective moves here over the next 5 to 10 minutes. I don't feel like either team is like if they win the lanes, they just win the game. They both have strong late game. They both have good team fight and pick-off potential. For RQ, they're really waiting on the Sand King Blink. That's going to be the #1 thing, along with the Warlock ulti, them to take fights and just buying time for the Tinker BOTs. And for TNC, basically just the support movements and when they choose to flex the Ravage. They're already ready to go in that department. So curious to see if they do make that move soon.
And I'm down here inside. They might realize that the ogre was warding. I'm sure that they might not have spotted it. I do ping it out now. This is going to signal that there's a ward up on the high ground, but they block out the ancients. Really good stuff coming in there. And it looks like this, again, given complete and total free reign up in the top lane for Sand King to farm and continue to kind of bully this Luna around. The movement in, smoke gank, trying to find somebody. Ogre will probably break it, and the disruption, he's pretty tanky. I don't know if they have enough to bring him down. Ravage, also no mana for it currently. All right, he has enough. They're gonna pop it. They do finally only connect onto the Ogre.
Damn!
What?
That was some commitment with the Ogre. Yeah, I mean, you better at least get one kill out of a 4-hero rotation like that, so kind of understand the logic with the Ravage, but you didn't kill the Tinker, you didn't kill the Sven, you didn't slow down the Sand King. RRQ are frankly very happy with that.
Yeah, that I would be completely happy. And now might even be able to kill off Cuckoo. They're coming in right now with the Tinker and he shoots out the laser. He had a haster in just a little while ago. It does look like it went off, so
Only a level 1 heat-seeking Mythal though, so
yeah.
offer all that much damage.
Got into range with the laser. That would have been the money rune, but doesn't quite get it. And it looks like they are going to be able to pick up a regen as well for Cuckoo. So happy. And bottom lane as the pressure is going to be felt now. Yep.
So that was the first movement. It was not the movement that we were looking for. And you can see RRQ, like, where previously they would have been very hesitant to 5-man or group up and push a tower. Now they have no fear. God Strength activated. Can start to throw the lust on the Sen, and we'll just take the tier 1. There's really no contesting this for TNC. At least not into a head-on fight, but they're going to try to stall here a bit with the stuff to Fang Smash. It may cost the Tidehunter's life, though. He gets multicast, or not multicast, Fire Blast. And then goes down a very well-placed timed Stormbolt from Keltru's Heart. Not confused with that. Will hit the creep as the disruption was ending.
Yeah, that was really nicely done. And again, individual skill, it's high in the Southeast Asian region. The big issue has always been that coordination, team fights, and drafting. And so far, RRQ looking really impressive. I'm liking what we're seeing. They just need to try and, like we were talking about, get that blink on back to the Sand King. He's gone into the jungle now after taking down that initial tower. And he's going to be able to start building in a couple more of these middle tier items. They get the Boots of Trial up and online for the Tinker, and if these keep on farming at this rate, like, it's looking really good for them. TNC need to do something about this.
They really can't until Ravage is back up. About 10 seconds, 10 minutes, jeez, that would be terrible. About 10 seconds go and then it'll be online, so they look for that next move soon, but I think where I'm a little worried for TNC, it's 10 minutes in, Teehee is level 3. At the very least, your Elder Titan should be like level 5 right now, I would say, in a normal game. So support levels on him, even on cast only level 4, this is a big concern. And, on the other side, you've got an Ogre who's already level 4.5. He really doesn't need levels as badly. And more importantly, the Warlock has the Rock. He is 6. The answer to Tidehunter. So I think RRQ they're in. Once that's out, and once they have the Blake on the Sand King, it's going to be go, go, go.
Yeah, well, and they're going to buy that book right now, so this is going to boost the ET up to just under level 5, which can start to help them make those movements around the map and finding kills. Can get in points into his natural order, and then you really start dealing some damage, particularly if you bring in the Luna and you make some Eclipse plays happen. But the question is, where are they going to try and find it? Because maybe you move into the jungle and try and see if you can find the Tinker, but that's even a little bit scary. The ward game from RRQ has been really good. They keep eyes on here over on these Ancients, and they've also been able to block out the movement in towards their jungle through the river. So all in all, they got their bases covered.
Sentry does actually have the range to scout out that observer, but and we'll grab the tower bottom. Haven't gone to look at that hill, I suppose. Yeah, the cast kind of hanging out in the neighborhood. He was scouted as they used the Moonlight Shadow to initiate. This could really backfire, Gabe. RRQ know what's coming.
Arrow. They get Well, that's fine. He can just keep on moving.
He really is more of a Thuzard than a Thuzad, I gotta tell you.
What a great little sentiment that is. Well, 10 minutes, 11 minutes into it now, and it looks like still Sven on top. And they're going to continue stacking up these Ancients here. They would have loved to go and clear them. I think that's what he was even TPing over for. As it stands, if he finishes off the stack, he's already at 1,400 gold. I mean, do you just go straight for like an Echo Saber at this, or is it worth going for like a quick Blink Dagger and start moving around the map with that?
I definitely think like Echo Saber, BKB type of build is the way to go here. BKB is fantastic against Luna and Tide. So I definitely want a BKB. Maybe your third item if you want to get like an armlet in the mix. But I don't think there's a huge need for a Blink Dagger. You already have Sand King to initiate. You definitely don't need to rush a Blink. That said, it could work if they just want to constantly dive for kills, but that is your hard carry. He's all your physical damage, and I don't think there's any huge emphasis on the. There's no huge need for him to get the Blink right away.
He's sapping away some experience from the much needed for him. It's almost going to get him up to level 6, but in the meantime, Cuckoo is here as well. They're already trading a good bit of hits, and the Ravage turnaround going to connect on to do a ton of damage being dealt to RQ, and they do get the epic. Not sure if it's going to be enough to just split up, and it's only dealing damage to the Luna, who does not look like she is going to die. Oh, a pretty good stance comes out right there, though. It might be able to break her down. Nicely played, as again, Cuckoo will be able to get a double, but they've lost the Luna back of it, and might even be able to take down either Cast or Sam H. Sand King getting bold.
Oh, that was a nice disruption there. It was mid-arm. It's a very long cast HP channel time on that spell, and unfortunately, there's nothing cooperating here. It's a freaking pesky ghost preventing TNC facing down. It ends up being a for 3, but that was without the golem getting off there. Zephyr, is that how you say his name?
I think so.
Exifer.
Warlock.
The ill-fated soul that he is. He didn't get off the ult. Really nice job there. They come with the Ravage with Mirana Starstorm. And then right when he was about to cast the golem, he got by the Elder Titan, and then they got that last nuke off to kill him. So never gets up the rock. Still 3 for 3 with that, and also with Sven using the God Strength primarily just to hit Ancients, and it was before the Echo Saber, which he now has. I still really favor RRQ in this upcoming skirmish, and especially with ults being on cooldown.
Tidehunter is over there trying to clear out these Ancients. Looks like they want to make the move over, test them themselves, RRQ. Or they're not just going into Roche, they're going to play some or spot this out, and if they could steal these, this would be tremendous.
I would love to see them go for a fight here. Sentry gets planted, but Kawalaman is outside of the range of that. Oh, suddenly he's back in, but backup has come. The lumbering oaf moves forward. Oh, moves forward. Now the Elder Titan Earth Splitter over the top, locking out the Sand King, and down he goes. The Ogre has to back away. Sand King down, fight's over, folks.
Fortunate, and I mean, maybe
you can see why they wanted to do it, right? Like, there's no Ravage, there's no Eclipse. Unfortunately, the choke point they were walking up into, and the fact that Sand King was the one that got caught first when he's the primary initiator, that ruined what they should have had.
And you know, the arrow coming in after the destruction, like if he gets off one burrow strike there, I think he can still go. Like, because Sven at this stage is so much stronger than any of these other heroes. You've a lot of this gold right now for the Mirana that's invested in stuff that's only keeping her alive, not really doing that damage. Once you get to Aghanims, that's a huge power spike. But right now, you can take advantage of their lack when those ultis are on cooldown. And I mean, they're trying to do just that. Tinker already almost completing his Blink Dagger. This is going to be a lot of damage coming out cores of RRQ.
Yeah, I mean, they would love to fight right now, but they didn't find the window. Now all the ults are up for TNC. And going for another move would be, this time, much more dangerous. So, still yet to see a Warlock ult, as we're now 16 minutes in. At this point, you know, so much for him having the much fast level 6, they didn't take advantage of it. I still feel like RRQ don't really have a timer by any means. They have a Midas now, a Warlock. They have excellent late game already, so they can bide their time here. And it looks like they will.
That was the Blink Dagger reveal of the Sand King too, and with the Midas picked up on the Warlock, I mean, you have the option to fight right now, but you're not forced into it like you're saying by any means. And well, another arrow fishing in the mid lane. Cuckoo will not find it. Around 1,500 gold away from finishing off that Agonist. We talked a ton about Fatal, but it's another one of those games where if you get that off onto 2 and Smith's Cleaven, it is a tremendous amount of damage.
What happened in the AUI 2000 upheaval build? You know, I remember when AUI 2000 used to be a support player game.
Yeah.
things have changed.
I mean, Matumba was playing support earlier today also.
And so too has the tides of those teams, and not in a particularly good way, I think. So, like to stick to the goals.
That's right.
Get back in the jungle and play some words for me.
I mean, Ali always played a little bit of the more greedy style anyway.
He was originally known for his carry play, way back in the old bottom days. He made that transition to support when the team needed him, but even when he was a support, and I'm doing air quotes right now that you guys can't see it, he was a very farm-intensive support, so but not really a classic, like, item-independent type of player by any means. So.
Oh, yeah.
RRQ will look to take over the top side of the map. They're going to grab the tier 1, and meanwhile TNC working on the tier 1 bottom. So, here trade here. Roshan is still available. Neither team that good at killing him. And Bloodlust is decent. TNC are okay with the Luna Aura and the Gush minus armor, but they're definitely not great.
When you can see right now, setting up, oh man, he has been ready to go for this in the mid lane if somebody comes and contests. But nobody's showing up for it. Like Sand King, oh, this is a little play. They use the siege creep to pull the creeps away from the tower. But it looks like they're going to try and move mid. And with Sand King already set up, if TNC come to defend this, this could be a really huge turnaround into the favor of RRQ even further.
Look at the wards. Aggro wards for both teams. Hills, they really want to take fights with tier 1 still up mid. Quite late into the game, 18 minutes already. Finding that opening. The Ags is coming though, Gabe. This could be the item that really breaks the game open. How many times have we seen that like 15 to 20 minute Ag Scepter pickup on a Mirana just utterly turn the tides? So much recently, but over the last year, I can't even count the number of games won by this pickup.
It's true, but that also comes with it getting nerfed consistently. And curious how much it's going to matter that another added second onto the second Starstorm that falls. I definitely think that it's something that's going to be strong, but we also haven't seen the Warlock ult yet. We haven't seen that new big epicenter play.
There's a Warlock in this game?
Right? Yeah.
Could have fooled me. So 1-1, no ultimate. They haven't had a big team fight, but I don't really feel like they need to. They could split push, they can farm ancients. If they had lost ancient control, or if Tinker was against the Storm, a Nyx, that, one of those heroes that limits his split push, maybe they'd be under more pressure, but fine with this pace of the game. Hey buddy.
Rabbit, he's gone. Alright, well, we're talking of Tinker. Sam H says, get on my cage. Ravages his face off.
That was not where he meant to blink.
Oh no, and now, I mean, they found a couple more. Cuckoo does have an arcane rune on top of this. If they're able to find him, they're going to jump forward, arrow, follow up, pump fakes, looks for the opening, tries to find it. Cat throws down the ulti, and just like, okay. Alright, this is some Clown Town stuff that we're seeing right now, but they still take down the Ogre.
Slowly beating him down. Fuzard is like, man, I'm going to have to turn into Fuzard if I'm going to turn this around, because my team is a little throwy now. 4-8 the score. Still RRQ, I think, in okay shape, but, you lose that one hero bottom, the Tinker, and all of a sudden it allows them to dive, get the Ogre kill. They never would have gone for that if he was alive, and RRQ really have to be careful not to make sloppy mistakes like that, or they will lose control. That's on top of those 2 kills, Gabe, the bigger thing is they got the tier 1 mid. Now they can actually contest the Ancients. You're going to see wards get planted around that area. That lack of map control, or that loss of map control, I should say, is absolutely huge when you're running a Sven.
Yeah, and they've been able to, just take over the side of the jungle as well consistently. They are going to get the D ward now, realizing that that was how they spotted out the Ogre. So it helps. It is helping, but like Moonlight Shadow now into the mid lane, they can go so deep into this, and if they are able to get the initiation onto the Warlock again, he needs to drop it immediately, stunned up and locked down.
Oh, 21 minutes in, all this man wants to do is drop the frickin' rock. Yep.
Hard life.
Yep, sloppy pickups repeatedly by RRQ are completely evaporating their advantage. They worked hard for it all game, they have a great lineup to sit back and farm. And TNC aren't even that good at ganking, like, to be honest here. There's no Nyx, there's no Storm, there's no Batrider. Their gank is walking in and ravaging a Tinker who's blinked on top of you, or, a disruption into an arrow at 21 minutes in the game. It's easy for RRQ. They're just playing sloppy, getting picked off, and TNC just pushing their buttons and punishing them.
Well, Sven is building towards that BKB you were talking about. He has the Blink Dagger on top of it. He is incredibly farmed. And if you just manage to get one of those Warlock ultis down, you thinking about that fight around. Roche is going down at this point, so they're not going to be able to defend that. But, you know, this next push that comes out might be the one for RRQ.
So Ryo gets his hands out on the Aegis. Has a Manta to go with it. He calmly goes back to farming the Ancients. Not really seeing RRQ execute a simple team fight. The one time they smoke, Sankey just dies. They back. Then Tinker gets picked up bottom. Ogre dies. They lose the tier 1. They back. Then Warp dies mid-ult. They back. They haven't taken a team fight game.
Ooh,
23 minutes in. This should be it.
Yeah, they jump forward immediately onto T. Tons of damage. Cuckoo had actually jumped forward at the same time, leaps out as they don't realize where he went to. Man, Cuckoo just juked them all this way Sunday. That was rough.
Yeah, the Observer Ward they have, they saw him blink, I think, as the Ravage comes through. Next, only Austin and the Ogre is also tanky. That's pretty big. Burrow strike out, but they finally get off that friggin' Warlock ultimate, and now the chase is on Ryo on the run. Angry Zen, and now this Nordic man wants some kills, and he's gonna chase forward looking for Ryo. For Cuckoo, who's he going? The missile splash through. Ryo survives it. Cuckoo doesn't look to turn. BKB's worn off. The debut first Warlock ultimate, first Sven BKB usage is probably.
Yeah, Sven was running around a lot in that fight trying to find the target and just couldn't manage to stick onto somebody. So a little bit unfortunate there, but at the end of the day, it's a one-team fight. You know, they use the Warlock ulti. So if nothing else, we're going to aggressively ulti in your direction, find a couple kills as they are chasing down Luna. You got to go for that one.
He probably could, because there's no tier 2 up, so there's fairly low likelihood, but it's only an Aegis. Risking your life that deep just for an Aegis snipe, it'll be not worth it. I don't really think Luna Aegis is that big of a deal anyway. She doesn't. Her second life is not particularly scary. You generally only get that one Eclipse off, and that's really it. This is not a Storm we're talking about, or a Leshrac. I remember when Leshrac used to be a hero. That was a while ago.
Still is an overthrow. That's the way to play it. You know, it's funny, the one piece of media that I saw come out of the Southeastern region was Team Faceless and the overview of their team house. And in the interview, they talk about how hard they're training and how, you know, it's constant work. And then in the video, it just shows them playing Overthrow, like the whole team together. Which,
yeah, and they're like, yeah, if we lose, we don't eat. And then you see when they lose, and they're just having like a 10-course meal.
Yeah. Sam H ended up taking a good bit of damage, but I don't want to actually go onto that Tidehunter. He's pretty scary.
That's just the like that little pebble in your shoe irritation, you know. Just get under their skin any way you can. But no huge sense of urgency here for RQ. They definitely can go back to farming. They get the Chrysalis on Kel'Thuzad. Still a lot of room for Tinker to grow. Looks like he's building next into the Aghanim Scepter. Generally, that's the build. Slight chance, I guess, of a Bloodstone, but it's super late to go for one. Yeah, I think RRQ still scale pretty well here. Koalama picks up a hood. Pipe is fantastic this game against Luna, Morana with the Ags, and to some extent against the Tidehunter Ravage as well. So I like Pipe, but at the same time, that Sinking Eggs is a huge pickup as well. And he does have a Staff of Wizardry, so could be that, could be a 4-staff instead. We'll have to see.
I really like 4-staff this game. Even just little things like being able to 4-staff one of your allies, you know, away from the Luna or whoever ends up being around you. Those types of plays can be fight winning. And I think
no.
Poor Zephyr. Well, Burrow Strike, turnaround. He has Chaotic Offering. They could go. I think he runs back up.
Oh, he's probably dead anyway. Cuckoo cutting him off this direction, but. Yeah, you sit there and you bait, and if they try to come in after you, you drop the ult and try to turn it around. So, another death for our ill-fated Warlock. But it's not the deaths that matter so much as the fact that like he hasn't been there to get a good team fight for the squad.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's something that you gotta have happen. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing them take this team fight right here and extend it out a little bit longer. Morana is down in the bottom lane, but I feel like they're gonna be able to take that chase, and Teehee is off to the side anyways for the count initiation. But it might have been a moment where if Warlock comes in right at the end of the fight or something, it could have ended up working.
Solomon trying to stall here. Remember, RRQ do a fantastic counter push, especially once they get the Ags as a really good tool to deal with those illusions, that constant chip siege from the Shadow Team and from the Manta. There won't be a tower grab. And Yabyu, or Yabyo I should say, just goes right back and push out the bottom lane.
He's pretty happy right now. I mean, despite that one death that happened against the Tidehunter, I think I saw him, he like canceled his animation for the rearm, and that's why he ended up going down there. But he should probably be playing safer after that little bit of a misstep, and still a great Tinker game. I mean, he is going to be going the Axe route. I wouldn't mind seeing like a late game Sheepstick picked up if that's another way that he wanted to go back for it. Oftentimes it's just a Dagon, but that level of King's Pro could also be great in this one. So we'll see how they decide to play it, but for now at least it looks like it's going to be a Lotus Orb on? No, what is he building into?
Lincoln's probably.
Lincoln's? It's an energy booster.
Well, that was from the Arcanes he had earlier, which he disassembled, so... probably we'll just get rid of it at some point. I think most likely we'll just see the Lincoln's build great against the Sand King and the Fen as like the two reliable forms of catch on this team. It just seems like the game's evolving into a split push game, and the more defensive items you have on Mirana or like a Morphling, the more aggressive you can be with your split. I think it's a pretty standard pickup in this type of game.
You know, barring RRQ just really getting out of position and constantly getting picked off, I think they should win this game from this point.
Which has been kind of the story of the last 15 minutes, but...
Like, I don't see how TN push high ground into Tinker with Ags and also having Golems from Warlock. Like, they're going to have to commit so much to actually do it, and then there's a good chance at a counterplay. So I think if RRQ play this right, they should just win out in the end, and looking like it could be a big engagement down here bottom.
I think the short answer is they do it very carefully and very slowly. Freeze, Elder Titan lurking, that smoke will break. Sam H the one that ended up interrupted, but Teehee just walks right out into a burst. It's gonna be a huge pick to the fight. Quick decapitation from the Sven with the Echo Saber, and TNC rocking it back.
Well, is going to be Ogre running into Sam H and gets the Fire Blast off as well. They get the Ignite. They're looking like they might opt to chase this further. Luna's in the area. Burrow's
really
like
want to go for this.
Well, Epicenter turn around with the Ravage, but still you do have the Tinker who's going to deal a lot of damage on the other side of this. That is going to be the Sand King running away, and it looks like they are going to just back out as Cuckoo chases down Yabu, and he is going to fall. Oh, that was a bit of a misplay.
I'm pretty surprised they went uphill into the Tidehunter of all heroes. Nice 2-hero stun from the Sand King, but then what happens after that? He's going to Greaves, he'll get off the Ravage, and they didn't have the whole 5-man squad position. Then on top of that, Tinker desperate to help out. He keeps mid, but in a 1v1, Tinker is not going to be able to deal with the Mirana at close range. So for RRQ, they're much stronger when they're united as a 5-man squad, and I think in most team fights they should prevail, but Ogre, you have a Warlock. This is the fulcrum of your team fight, and he's just a slow, clunky hero. You can't keep up with all these Blink Daggers, these heroes, Burrow striking in and charging forward, TPing all around the map in the case of the Tinker. They're going to rely on him for his team fights, and they have to give him a chance to get involved in. I'm a bit impatient for Eager here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and he does have the Ags now, so still does not solve that problem of the mobility. You kind of wonder if it might have been worth it to go for something like a Force Staff for himself first, but if he manages to get the good Golems out now, kind of solve all of the previous problems that were happening for this Warlock, but doesn't look like TNC want to give him that option. He's back out again and return to...
This could be a long one. Everyone says that everyone sees Naga and just starts snoozing, but Tinker versus Mirana with Ags, both POTs now. The Blink is up on Mirana along with the Lincolns. These guys are going to be fair, and there's really not that many great hunters for the split push. Sand King's probably the best one in the game. I would not put him on the level of a Storm. It's be a long. We'll see though.
Absolutely. Well, the spam of the rockets is difficult to deal with, and man, look at those illusions. Look at an Ogre, tanky hero himself, to about a 3rd HP, and square off for the next Roche is definitely going to be that next big fighting point that we find.
Kelthu's art needs to keep up the Mirana. But not really keeping up in the kill department. He doesn't have the CS advantage here. And he completes Daedalus now. So damage is really RRQ's problems. Their big issue is just being able to stay grouped up and focus the hero down in fights. Because Mirana's quite elusive. You've got great defensive counterplay from Ravage, from Greaves, from Disruption, the Swamp. So I'd say like 4 pretty important tools to reset fights. And RRQ don't have the best gap closing, just the Blink Dagger, Sand King, but the rest of the team to be able to keep up.
No, definitely. I think that they have, again, like going back for that Midas is a huge, good decision from the Warlock. Like you need to be able to get better with this hero. Maybe Ogre is going to be the one that ends up falling back and behind because of it. He's only at 1,500 net worth at 32 minutes into the game. Man, it has been a hard one for him. I would love to see them get some more farm on that hero because he's somebody who also can really.
Ogre's not getting more farm in this game, Gabe. You're dreaming here, buddy.
Oh, poor Ogre. Oh,
Smoke
Ravage.
it, but again, they try to walk up the cliff without vision. Gonna go for the burrow initiation. Last time they did this, it was real ugly. They go for it again. So he's got the BKB. He can just commit onto the force him back, try to bring him down, but the Purge will prevent the kill, and so instead he turns on Eclipse, who is also able to slow him down. Back away. Now the BKB is extended. The turnaround's about to come. Eclipse is at the ready, and Kelsey's going to sacrifice that lumbering earth. He will fall. Arrow has a fish. It will not hit the stem. Blinks away. They keep on going for the smoke gank up the hill. This time didn't even have last time they had a ward here. They don't even have that. They're going on Tidehunter. He didn't even Ravage this time, but they have great defensive abilities on TNC, sure, but I think RRQ are just forcing it way too much.
And again, we've talked about it. I do think their late game lineup is quite strong, but we'll see how it goes. This movement in and taking out Roshan for TNC is really great. I still think that if you wanted to come and contest, you at least need to get something here for RRQ. If the lanes that need to be pushed out more, maybe you try and assault the tier 3 tower. That might be one of the ways to make it happen as the gem gets picked up by the Warlock as well. But it might be a little bit difficult for them to hold high ground with Aegis up on this Luna as well.
Yeah, and she's got a Scotty now, so her illusions are getting a lot tankier. More difficult to burn down in fights. Tinker's pretty damn good at killing off the illusions with eggs, but even just a little chip here or there, like you can just keep on sieging. It's slow work, but it will result in damage on the structure. Assume that Tinker doesn't get killed off, because there's now an E-Blade on Mirana, so a shotgun into Blink multi-star storm combo could very easily just send him reeling back to the buybacks just in case something like that happens. He doesn't have it, so does Sven, but it's really easy for Miranda to get kills compared to RRQ, who struggling to finish anyone off, really.
You know, this would be really the best game, I think, for Tinker to get a peep stick. Clearing out illusions with that feels like it's really strong. The Aether Lens added range onto it. We already talked about him being able to deal with the illusions pretty well, but if he doesn't kill them in those first initial blasts of the laser, they will get some of the chip damage out like you talked about, and I feel like the answer is really in the sheep stick, just for that instant kill, but still a long ways away from it. That is one problem. Tinker almost 4,000 gold behind the Luna. He's, after those couple of kills, been really hurting for the farm.
And here we go. TNC just gonna strut up and start flexing outside the RRQ base. There is a tier 2 still in the top lane. I will bring that to 2 down mid. And they will commence the siege from the looks of things. Now they have a second thought. Decide to back off.
Arrow connected on the Warlock, but not comfortable going.
They're not diving that far. This is not the Faceless game, Gabe. For those who missed the last game, Faceless twice jabbed Song on the Dire side from like around this area and just ran into the Radiant base, and then Ice got a 2-3 hero stun both times and just blew up their whole team. As Dire, mind you. So that was a game where the tower diving was coming out of force, but this one doesn't seem like TNC have that level of confidence.
Yeah, they want to play it safe. They're good with that. I like the Tidehunter now. He's going back for the pipe. Are they going to find the Tinker again? Oh my god.
Well, at least he didn't blink into Sam H this time. Jeez. He's learning, kid. He's learning.
The process of learning is occurring. They're going to just run down another lane, though, and Well, it looks like RRQ actually want to make this happen. Get the arrow onto the Sven, blind, and now popping the Ravage Clone as well. Do they find the kill? Eclipse comes out, the turnaround golems are there as well, but it's not going to be enough. They've lost the Sven and lost both golems.
Well, he got the ult off this time.
Oh no.
This is problematic. Sven is huge in the team fights. Ravage was committed though, along with the clip. So it's not the peak of T's ability to take fights right now, but at the same time, like you pointed out, Warlock's ult is also down. I think you definitely see engages. We'll see how hard they want to commit though. Blink and a follow-up shotgun and Sayonara Tinka.
Oh my god, the Earth Splitter comes out as well as the BKB. They're not going down at this point. They take down the Ochre again, and it looks like they're just going to turn their attention onto this tier 3 tower. The laser does start to deal some damage, and the burrow strike through as well.
Back on Tinker, but he just slept. The shotgun's going to be available for him, so he just put it up. Laser with the Ethereal Blade. He has an arrow. Is he going to hit it? Drills it, and the dieback on the Tinker. Might just be a full lane of Rax, if not the game.
Radiant structures.
Goodness, that was so unfortunate. Now tier 3 going down. I mean, you do have this buyback on the Sven. He didn't commit when the Tinker did. Like, if you're going to go for one, you really have to go for both and really try and, shut down this push. As it stands now,
that was all set up by Teehee. He got to stop sleep on the Tinker. And this is a guy who was level 3 at 10 minutes. He had a horrible laning stage, but man, has he made a comeback here down the stretch or what?
It's been really impressive to watch. And again, a guy who only switched over to playing support a couple of months ago. Really impressive stuff. The Epicenter comes out. And that was not
almost kill those things.
Take us.
Tier 3 gone. The barracks gonna fall as well, and like they're going to turn their attention to this bot lane. What was looking good once for RRQ has completely fallen apart in the past couple of minutes to the tune of a 16,000 worth lead and soon to be another lane.
Do they continue to stick around? The Warlock ulti 40 seconds off. Ravage up at 20. There will be a 20-second power play for TNC as far as the big wombo combo ultimates go. Pipe now committed. Bring down the wave and they'll start paving in the structures. The melee barracks dropping. Third HP missing now. Siege continues. Bouncing laser, but the illusions are going to resume their damage momentarily. Another round of the Eclipse. B. Charge on in from Ryo, and the Glaive started bouncing, so Yabu can't easily away. Another Ravage comes through. Zephyr, though, doesn't have to step it back up to the well. He's going to have his ultimate soon. The chase forward the other direction. Good defensive disruption. And the purge on Nikel through Zard, who's completely unable to hit heroes in this fight until this golem, but it's not going to matter, Gabe. 4 down. 55 if they want to dive the Warlock as well. The GG's come out. TNC. Bar RQ in the dumpster. They have yet to take a game in the group stage.
Yeah, that is a rough one. And it was looking so good for so long for RRQ. They were staying with them. They had all the ultis needed. And at the end of the day, just a couple pickoffs and then that Sven, like, they lose the Sven in an instant and they don't buy back on.
Let's get on with it.